Hey guys, thanks for looking at my channel. In this video we will be discussing a modified version of the Sphag and bag. Sphagnum moss, and then using a plastic ziploc is the traditional Sphag and bag method. But every time I've used the Sphag and bag on rescues like this one here, I've only grown mold. I haven't been able to grow new leaves and roots like is the goal of Sphag and bag. So what I've done is used a modified version. Now the reason that the Sphag and bag is so unsuccessful, at least in my eyes, is because you're placing an orchid inside of a closed container, a ziploc bag. There's not a lot of airflow around the roots, and you have the increased moisture due to the wet sphagnum moss. And those two elements combined, it's just a really great breeding ground for mold and fungus and things like that. So in my modified version, what I've done is used an open container, two containers really. I use plastic pots because they hold moisture for longer periods of time than your terracotta pots do. So for my rescues, I like to use a plastic pot. So what you'll need really are two plastic pots. You can use something down at the bottom like packing peanuts. The packing peanuts will raise the orchid so that it's not sitting directly on the sphagnum moss. If your orchid sits directly on the sphagnum, then there's a good chance that the pseudobulbs will rot, they'll get moldy. We don't want that. What we want is just to increase the humidity around the orchid. That way the roots will come out seeking that moisture, and at that point then we can pot up the orchid. So this is a Cattleya division that I bought off of eBay, and I was extremely disappointed. The seller was really new. They had 100% positive feedback, but they had only sold 35 items. So really not enough items in my eyes to have much of a base. So I learned my lesson. I won't be purchasing from any new sellers. But you really want to check the feedback. Check and see what the negative feedback was. Even neutral feedback, it's still, it's not positive. So check their neutral feedback, check their negative feedback, and really try to buy from sellers that have 100% positive feedback and they've been on eBay for a while. Unfortunately, I did not do that. I went out on a limb because the seller said that this orchid was healthy. However, as you can see, that is not the case. It came to me infested with scale, and I've actually eliminated most of the scale on this plant here. I had to cut off all of the roots because they were rotted and there was mold growing. Just an overall unhealthy plant, and that's not what I was expecting. So I'm going to be using the modified version of the Sphag and bag for this plant. So you're packing peanuts at the bottom to elevate the orchid, and you just place the orchid gently inside, and then with your moist sphagnum, you don't want it sopping wet, but you do want it to be moist. If I squeeze this right now, not a lot of water is going to come out. See, just a couple of drops will come out. So you don't want it sopping wet, but you want it moist. So your moist sphagnum down at the bottom, and then you place the orchid inside. And then this will increase the moisture, increase the humidity around the plant. And you're going to want to set it in a bright location, but with no direct sunlight. So a bright but shady location. And don't be surprised if you have to wait a couple of weeks, maybe even a month. It really just depends on how bad a shape that the orchid is in, and what kind of hybrid it is, if it's a species. It's really just going to depend on the particular orchid. If you guys have any questions about this method, you can go ahead and leave a comment down below, and I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. If you have any questions, like I said, just leave a comment down below and I promise you I will respond. I want to show you guys the divisions that I bought off of eBay. I've been using this method with them for about, when was my last video? I don't even know. Whenever my last video was, that's when I potted these guys up. So I used the modified version again for these divisions here. I told you guys I wasn't going to use Kiki paste, and I haven't used any Kiki paste. I've just been using this modified version of the Sphag bag. Oh, and if you need refreshment, I recommend tea. Yes, so that is my refreshment. It gets pretty hot out here. But there you can see the sphagnum down at the bottom here. So, moist sphagnum down at the bottom of your pot. And this one's actually a deeper pot. I like the deep pots because all of the air in here is nice and humid. And I actually have a little humidity detector in here. I set it outside of the pot. Normally it's like 76. So we'll check that in a couple of minutes so you guys can see what kind of humidity the orchids are getting inside of here. But these are the divisions that I got off of eBay. Scoot that over a little bit. Here we go. And this one actually has responded really, really well to this modified version of the Sphag bag. That little nubbin right there, that is the eye of the orchid, and it is producing a new lead. So when I first got these orchids, there were no leads, except for, you know, the shriveled ones, no new ones. But this one here, because of that modified version of the Sphag bag, it is now producing a viable eye, a new lead, and will soon have lovely green roots coming out. I'm very, very excited. This orchid is on the road to recovery, so you can really see the success that the Sphag bag, well, the modified version anyways, the kind of success that it has. And I don't have to worry about mold, I don't have to worry about rotting pseudobulbs or anything like that. So I really recommend this method if you have an orchid that doesn't have any roots, or an orchid that just needs to be pampered, just needs a little bit of TLC, especially for divisions. As you can see, this one here recovering quite nicely. So I'll wait until those roots come out, and then I will pot the orchid up. And you can see here the humidity stays around 74% right now. For the past couple of days it's been in the 80% range, so this is lower than it has been, but you really just want it to be above 60% humidity. So if you can accomplish that, your orchid will be quite happy, and those roots will come out seeking that moisture. Now, another one of the orchids that I used this, well, that's not cool. These things are very top heavy. Rawr. Put you back in there. So this one right here was a Sphag bag baby. I got this orchid at Lowe's, and it didn't have any roots. In fact, it only had 3 leaves, which are the 3 that you see right there. It only had 3 leads, and I used that Sphag bag modified version. I will post a picture. So you can see with this Cattleya here that the modified version of the Sphag bag was a great success. I was able to bring this orchid back from the dead. You can see the new roots hanging out in there, the white ones there. I was able to bring it back from the dead, and it has this lovely new lead right here. It is on the road to recovery. So if you question the Sphag bag technique, here is your living proof that it works. Alrighty guys, so if you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up, and if you have any comments or questions, leave them down in the comments section.